welcome to Here in Hoptown. We are doing things differently today. This is my first ever off-site here in Hoptown, and it's our first ever out of studio. Well, out of studio was off-site, but it's our first time videoing one of our podcasts. So bear with us. We're just going to wing it and see how we go, but I'm excited about our first guest. We're here with David Powell. He is I wrote my notes down here. He's the weather coordinator for emergency management
in Christian County.
Christian County, but you're also the weather and wisdom guy, new YouTube channel that you've started.
Some people call me that. Some people call me other names, but yeah, that's basically what I
Well, I've known you for years as the weather guy. Yeah. So my local weather guy, I always go to when I want to know if it's going to snow. That's my big.
Amanda, you're one of a million others that do the same thing.
That's my always exciting time of year. When's it going to snow?
I always give you the inside information. That's what I'll do.
Yes, I like to have the inside information. I got connections, people. Before we get started, there's a video I want you guys to take a look at just to give you an idea of what we're going to talk about today, of what our weather spotters do, because you also oversee the weather spotters.
Yes, yes.
And that is, I say, an exciting job, but dangerous job, but it's not always dangerous. Sometimes it's just as simple as going out and driving the roads after a snowstorm to let us know how the conditions are.
Yeah,
but I want you guys to take a look at a quick video.
Wait. Oh my God, I just caught it. That's a big tornado, dude. That's Herndon and Lafayette. Hold on, you're good. We're turning around, getting our nose into the storm.
Getting the hell away from it.
Yes, we're okay.
You can't see.
I know. Just pull over, gosh. Yeah. We're okay. I promise you we are okay. Right here. We're okay. I'm not going to let anything happen to us. Is that the whole side of City Hall?
No, that's
no, okay.
No, it's not. Is it City Hall? It is City Hall. Oh, where?
Oh, the whole side of the...
Well, that was a pretty intense video. That's one of the more dangerous videos.
That just gives you an idea of how intense and dangerous it can be. Luckily, we haven't lost anybody yet, and I attribute that to the training that they go through. They go through a lot of training, and so
and that's your weather spotters.
Oh, yes,
go through the training.
Yes,
okay.
Yes, and they go out. We've got experienced spotters that are really good at what they do. I call them citizen scientists because they are really good at it. And if you notice in that video, you had one girl who was a trainee that was pretty frightened. And I would be too if I'd been in her position. But unfortunately, out of that whole team,
I'd totally be you, girl. I'd be in the seat.
Only one of them is still with us. The others just, going through something like that is life-changing. Just because, people think weather spotters, they just go out and watch storm, but it's not like that, as you saw in that last thing. It's
you get
much
up
more
and personal with the storm sometimes.
Absolutely. Yes.
You get to know the storm well.
Yes, we do. And if you didn't have religion before you come, you do have it by the time you leave.
You find some on the road.
That's right.
Well, let's talk about, on a lighter note, how you guys got started. Now, just in conversation with you in the past couple of days, it was really after 2006 you officially assembled.
Yeah, the 2006 tornado that hit Hopkinsville, the only shot of that tornado was taken from the top of Jenny Stewart Hospital. And it was like a 1 in a million shot. The camera just happened to take the shot just as the lightning flashed, which eliminated the tornado. After that, a lot of people were scared, and that every time a black cloud would come up, they were frightened. And so we came up with the idea of forming a real legitimate spotter group here, although there were fire spotters and nothing wrong with that, but I'm talking about someone who's dedicated to it, and it seemed to really go a long ways to help the community to feel better. And we did a lot of things. We trained a professional group, and at that time, that's when Matt Snorton at the time, who was the emergency manager here, nominated in front of fiscal court. And so fiscal court actually appointed me as weather coordinator. So, it's just there it grew. And as we developed and trained, we trained constantly. We actually had gotten so good that the National Weather Service came down. We rewrote the spotter training courses. But, we thought, there needs to be a little bit more accountability, because by this time now, spotters were starting to appear that wanted to be in it, and they wanted to excel. So we came up with the idea of doing an elite spotter class. So I got with Rich Shanklin, and he and I and other members of the National Weather Service sat down, and we wrote a class to where if you went through it, you get tested at the end with 20 questions, and you have to answer them or you don't pass.
Right.
So that was a challenge, and people who were really interested in it did it. And, it's still being given even to this day. That was many years ago. And so those are accomplishments that we've done I'm kind of proud of. But it's not just that. It's the ability to help the community. That's what's so important, because that's the whole purpose of it all.
Well, one thing you mentioned yesterday in our conversation, you said we can't stop the weather.
No.
But you do offer a localized information system of weather.
Yes.
That's really tailored. You call it from the rivers, the roads to the rivers.
Yes.
Because it covers 65
to the Mississippi River.
To the Mississippi River.
And I-40 to the Ohio River.
So you're really tailored to that area.
Yes.
So we're just getting good, cutting-edge information.
Absolutely.
Right here close to home. One thing I heard in one of your videos, your chaplain, I believe.
Yes.
He said he was really impressed with the seriousness and sophistication of the group. Even if you're here for 17 hours, how to keep it going.
If you're in the middle of a severe weather event, then you have to be on your toes.
Right.
But we don't dwell on it. We'll cut up and carry on. We'll go out of our way to pull a practical joke on you.
Right.
Before you leave here, I'm sure you're going to find a spider on your shoulder or something.
We'll let you go put me into early labor. Don't do that.
Please don't do that. Never mind. She's not going to.
No spiders.
No. But anyway, it's a way of coping. But when the warning goes out, it's all serious. The spotters go out to their designated areas wherever they got planned, and most of them have specific areas they like to go to because they're familiar with it. They know all the escape routes and everything. They can see places. But we've gone even further now with the new technology, with the YouTube channel. We can now show what they're seeing. They have cameras in their vehicles, and they can show the weather conditions as they come up on them, and as they get hit by storms. You at home are going to be able to see that.
I want to talk a little bit about your weather spotters. I learned a term yesterday talking to Mark. He said it's ground truth.
Yep.
It's what the weather spotters can provide.
Right.
And a lot of times the radar, what we're looking at on the radar, we can't see exactly what's happening on the ground.
No.
But the value of our weather spotters is we have hail. Here's the actual wind speed. Here's the temperatures.
Correct.
Here's what we have.
Well,
that's a valuable asset.
Yeah, so many people don't realize that you can look at radar, but many times we've had the National Weather Service call us, say, hey, there's this storm here. Do you mind seeing what's happening under it?
Right.
And, we know it's not tornadic because they wouldn't do that to us there, but we can go into a pretty fierce storm and give them a good idea of what's happening, and that'll tell them the information they need to go ahead and either issue a warning that's coming upstream or not issue a warning. It just depends on the information they get. And we've had Fort Campbell send meteorologists to actually ride along with us, and those guys are pretty sharp, but they needed ground observations to protect their helicopters. I mean, you can see the radar all day long, but if you don't know what's happening on the ground, it can be rough.
Right.
So, yeah.
So what's your most memorable memory through all of your storm chasing and snowstorms and everything? You've got a lot of experiences.
Yeah, I don't even know where to begin. There's been several. There's several that are close calls. The one that's hit me the most is losing our friend Tim Samaras in El Reno. I mean,
and he was actually lost in a storm.
Yeah, he and his whole team were killed in that tornado. It was the largest tornado ever recorded on Earth, and I think the wind speed was only 4 miles shy of the highest wind speed ever recorded.
Wow.
And that storm killed a lot of people. And it ended the careers of many chasers. But Tim was doing research, and he'd become a good friend of ours. He'd put it on his Facebook page that he was a member of our group. And before he was killed, he sent us a message because there was a tornado outbreak coming, and he said that we need to be safe and that the tornadoes may be rain wrapped, and urged us to keep a safe distance. And it wasn't long after that the El Reno occurred, and he and his whole team were killed. But then there were other times too, like the 2011 where T-gas got hit. We have a video of that too, and that was luckily nobody was killed, but
I remember that day.
They sure could have been. It was a tough time, but our teams were at their peak. They knew what they were doing, and we all came through it. And then there was, I guess, the most recent was the Pembroke tornado, and it was tough though watching that tornado coming towards Mayfield, and you see it throwing up debris ball. You know Mayfield's fixed to get hurt. And the next night when it got to us, then it was tough, but we got through it. And then we didn't have time really to debrief, so because immediately supplies started coming in from all over the country. And the warehouse.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
And we'll have a video of the warehouse for you guys to take a look at, but it's much larger back there than I anticipated.
Oh yeah. And it was filled almost to the rafters. It was almost filled to the rafters, and there's still some supplies left, not much. Most of it's been dispersed. Hand sanitizer, oh my gosh. We still got gallons and gallons of hand sanitizer, but we give it to school kids. We have school groups come in for tours and things.
Well, you guys ought to be the healthiest group in town.
Oh yeah.
No germs here.
But that was an experience. And then of course, after that, we were able to kind of wind down and then we take on new projects, like the studio here. And
this is where you broadcast with your YouTube channel.
Right.
When you're doing your David Powell Weather and Wisdom.
Right.
And this is where it all happens, right here, folks.
Right here.
Right here. I think I knocked the clock off a while ago and almost broke the whole studio.
Oh, she's all right. She didn't break anything. But this is an interesting place, and the people that get on there, they subscribe to our channel, and so they kept saying, I said, "Welcome to the tribe," every time they get a subscription. Well, then they wanted to know what the name of the tribe was. I said, well, you guys come up with a name. So they came up with Watchers of the Wind. And so we created a logo, and then if anybody that had subscribed could get a decal. And all they do is pay the shipping, handling, decal up on their back window that says Watchers of the Wind.
Oh, watch it. We got one right here. Look at this.
Mark's got it right here. Yeah. So this is
Watchers
the kind of logo they would get. They'd put it on the back window of their vehicle, and it was pretty nice.
I like that.
A lot of people have done things. Then we had jacuzzis. If you'll grab that one right over next to you.
Oh.
Yeah. This one is a Watchers of the Wind koozie.
You got you a whole branded.
Well, what it was is the weird story behind this is that I would get tongue-tied every now and then. And so instead of saying koozie, I said jacuzzi. Oh my gosh! Then the people on chat really went off.
We're mailing out jacuzzis, folks.
Oh my gosh! And so actually, we've talked to Jacuzzi.
Storm watching in style.
We've actually talked to the company Jacuzzi and see if they wanted to do a sponsorship. They said, "Hey, that's a fun idea. We just don't have the budget yet." So I don't know. I'll talk to them again at some point. But yeah, it was interesting. They liked it. But anyway, so
what is one of the most requested? What's one of the most weather requests? What do people want to know? Are they wanting to know about the tornadoes, the snow?
This time of year it's tornadoes, but it won't be long, and they'll be saying, when's it going to snow? And then they want to know how much, and they want to know what time it's going to start. And so I'll never forget the time I had a lady who was always asking me what time it's going to start. And I kept putting her on. I said, I don't know, sometime this afternoon. Never give her a specific. So one day I was just feeling kind of mischievous, and I said, okay, it's going to start at 3:30 p.m. And I want you to know it started snowing at 3:30 p.m. of all things. And now
she said, I'm a believer.
she still to this day will call me and say, what time is the snow going to start? And I said, oh my gosh.
Why do you do what you do?
Well, I tell a story about coming through Oklahoma before I came here. And I was right behind a tornado. It was an EF5. And tore a town apart that I had to go through. So I arrived right behind it. And I'll never forget a little old lady who was injured. She was dazed. She didn't know anything because she had lost her home,
Wow.
her husband, her children, even her dog were all killed. And I don't know if anybody can imagine praying so intensely for that woman and the vow you take, say, I never want to see this again, you know. And so I made a vow to myself, and I guess to God too, that if I could ever make this not happen again, I would. People say I get too emotional and too involved in things, but I don't know how to be any other way except live intensely. You know, I live on the edge, and just like the motto, we live on the edge of a storm.
Like you said, you can't control the weather, but
That's
here's
right.
what you can offer.
That's
you have
right.
the knowledge to kind of give people insight on how they can protect themselves if it's bad weather or.
And I think that's what the appeal, why I have so many really loyal followers. They are very loyal. In fact, we get on the YouTube and they're on chat and they're talking. They all introduce themselves to each other, and then they say, "Hey, Thunder Buddies." So they've come up with a new name.
That was a term, the Thunder Buddies.
The
yes,
Thunder
I heard
Buddies.
yesterday. I was going to ask you about.
Yeah, so they call themselves Thunder Buddies because they're all buddies on there, and it's usually during the storm. So that's a good name they came up with. So I'm saying, hey, that is a catchy name, you know. So Thunder Buddies. So now it's David Powell and his Thunder Buddies. And I've got some youngsters that are fans. I like working with kids, and we do tours of the building here, and they learn a lot. Oh my goodness, there's so much to see and do, and we've got new stuff that we've added. That,
very cool.
Yeah, it's going to be nice.
It is a cool studio, and if you guys stay tuned, they have a new cool ceiling effect.
Yes.
We'll show you guys that, and we're going to be talking with Mark Booker.
Yep.
And talk more about the weather spotters, how you can be a weather spotter. So make sure you stay tuned in for the rest of this Here in Hoptown podcast. David, it's been a pleasure just to sit down. Which how are we going to do this?
Let's do it that way.
Just sit down with you and just talk about. And thank you for being a part of our first Here in Hoptown off-site.
Well, you're doing a good job. I'm anxious to see it. I'm looking forward to it. And everybody give her, I don't know, do you have likes on that, or do you get?
Likes and whatever. Just tune in, like, and share, and help pass the word along.
And let them know you like Amanda.
We'll see. We'll see if they do. But thank you guys for tuning in. Stay tuned. We're going to be talking to Mark Booker. We're going to try this again. We gave it one stab and we didn't have our microphones on. So we're going to see how this goes. I'm sitting here with Mark Booker. He is give me your title.
I am the Deputy Weather Coordinator with Dave for Emergency Management. And for the Weather Spotters, I am the Team Meteorologist.
Okay. Now, during a storm, you're the guy, this is your station.
This is
where you operate. And tell me what you do.
During a severe weather event, the way this works is I've got a station here. We sometimes have someone over here to answer phones and do other stuff.
Okay.
We have someone at this station right here. This computer, it's not lit up right now, but it's actually on, gives us a direct chat link to National Weather Service.
Nice. Okay.
So we got somebody there. We've got somebody manning the radios.
And they're communicating with all the weather spotters.
With all the weather spotters. We've usually got a person or two, and we use our junior spotter. We've got a junior spotters for the kids of our members mostly. We don't really take other people's kids anywhere near the storms.
Right.
But for kids of our members who are over the age of 11, we have them in here, and they help us with the maps. Plotting out
what a wonderful learning experience.
Yeah, we love it. And a lot of them, we've had one or two go on to pursue different weather careers and stuff after they get out of here.
What a great experience.
Yeah. And then we've got one guy in the middle to kind of coordinate it all. And it was David before we started doing what we're doing now. David's up there now with that, and I'm still here.
Okay.
And then we have somebody that kind of coordinates everything and relays for me, because usually when I'm doing that, my back's to everyone.
Right.
And I'm sitting here looking at all this. And when I see something, I don't even turn around. I just call out.
You've got your system.
Yeah, I just say, hey, look at this. Get the team, get a team there. Or get that team out of the way because that's a bad storm. They don't want to be right in front of it or near it.
Well, and you said something earlier, too. You were talking about how in a storm, they're so unpredictable sometimes. You can do everything wrong and be okay.
Right.
But you could do everything right and then get killed.
Right.
So storms.
I remember a storm story that I heard. And it did not happen here, but it happened somewhere else where they had a tornado go through. And this was being told by one of the survivors.
Mm.
And they, tornado's coming, and they ran, and they didn't have anywhere to go in their house, and they just kind of got in the hallway and crouched down, which is the most they could do.
Right.
The tornado caught the edge of their house. It didn't completely demolish it, so they were okay. The people who lived next door was a woman and her kids. They got in their bathtub with a mattress on top of them. Most they could do, best thing you could do, because they didn't have a basement to go to. The house got demolished, and they all three died because it picked a whole bathtub and everything up and took them with it. And again, they did everything right. They died. The other person, for all I know, they could have run outside. Oh, there's a tornado,
And been fine.
And been fine. Which we tell people, don't run outside. If you hear a warning, don't run outside. You might see it. It might be neat, but you might not survive it to tell the tale. A paperclip going 200 miles an hour
Absolutely.
is a bullet.
Didn't even think of that yet.
Is a bullet. It will injure you.
Right.
So you always have to, it's the debris. That's why we tell people to get in their basements or get down the ditch. You need to get down to where the debris is not going to hit you.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
And even we tell people, get in your basement and get under something in your basement.
Oh.
Think about it. If a tornado is strong enough that it comes through and it takes your house,
Yes.
and you're still in the basement,
You're still exposed.
what's it going to do? It's going to dump your neighbor's house in the basement on top.
Right. On a lighter note, let's talk snow for a second.
Okay.
I kind of gave it away. I was going to ask you. You told me one of the hardest things to predict because I was asking you all you follow all types of storm patterns, and I asked you earlier, what's the hardest thing to predict?
And it is snow. You can usually get whether it's going to snow or not, but sometimes you can't because 1 degree of temperature difference can mean the difference for you right where you're at between whether you get snow or rain. Sometimes that's a difference in elevation.
Right.
People up on the hill got snow. You're at down here, you just got rain. And the amount of snow is hard to predict because it doesn't take much of a trigger to make the atmosphere when it's like that lose its moisture. And if it does and it drops, you get a lot more snow than you thought you were going to get.
Wow. Yeah.
Or a slight change in the pattern and you get a lot less than you thought you were going to get. The guys at National Weather Service who really, really have to forecast this stuff, I feel for them because, like I said, I was a forecaster at Fort Campbell. And the last winter I was in here doing it, everybody was saying, all the models were saying, everything's saying, we're going to get about 1 inch of snow. So that's what my forecast had, about 1 inch of snow. We got 10 inches on Fort Campbell.
Surprise.
And it was a narrow swath. They got like 4 inches in Hoptown, 5 inches in Clarksville. We got 10 on Fort Campbell. And it's something called a snow streak. And that's where one of those little disturbances comes through and just makes everything dump as it comes through.
And we talked a little bit before about how there's so many different factors that go into weather, especially with snow. And a lot of time our weather forecasters have a minute and a half, 2 minutes
They're trying to get all this information to you.
They want to educate you, give you the best possible prediction.
Yeah.
But there's so many factors that you just can't explain. And that's why sometimes it may seem off, but just
you
there's
will
a lot
notice
of
most
factors.
weather forecasters talk pretty fast.
Right. Yes. I guess it has to be an art.
It is. It's an art. You're trying to get all this information out and not mispronounce it.
And be clear and be concise. Make sure
get it through and get
we're
it done.
informed. We have a lot of expectations for you weather guys. How long have you been here? How long have you been with the team?
I started with the team right after it formed in 2006.
Okay. So
I've been doing weather since 1982.
Okay. So with all of your experience in weather, whether before the team or after, what has been your most memorable?
Probably T-gas, because I went down there with him when we were doing the damage survey with National Weather Service afterwards. And I'm the one that noticed that the tornado had touched down just as it got to T-gas. And there's a tree line and a fence and a little road right beside the plant right there.
Okay.
The tornado came down and hit that line of trees and that road before it hit the back corner of the plant. And when it did, there was a flock of blackbirds in those trees.
Oh.
So I'm looking down the debris field beside the plant, and all I'm seeing is these little pink bird butts.
Oh, their little tail feathers fell off.
Birds will turn when there's a wind coming at them to try to brace against it. And when they did, all their tail feathers were gone. The rest of the birds, I've found the birds. The birds, they were fairly intact. They weren't all ripped apart or anything. All their feathers were on except...
But they were all dead.
They were all dead.
Yeah.
They're all quite dead.
Yeah.
And just all through the debris field, looking at it, I could see this little pink
you.
Right.
If you wanted to be a weather spotter, what do we do in the county?
In the county, you come and you start attending our meetings. We have 2 meetings a month, the second Tuesday and either the fourth or last Saturday, depends on how everything falls with holidays and everything like that.
Okay.
But they usually last about an hour for training, and either Dave or I conduct the training for the most part, and we just teach you more about how to spot weather and how weather works and how everything works and what to look out for. Our requirements are you have to take National Weather Service's spotter training, Concepts 1 and 2. Dave already talked about that. Elite is an option, but we promote taking it because it's more knowledge. We also have to take the National Incident Management Systems training. 100, 200, 700, and 800. That teaches us how to work within emergency management. And we also require some time, when you can get it, to take a power line hazards course. NRL has power line hazards for first responders, just to teach you. You don't go over and try to pick up a tree limb off a down power line because it might still be live.
Exactly. Well, so it doesn't sound like it's too complicated. If anyone has the interest, they can just call here at the Weather Spotters and figure out.
And when the group started, some people, they want to be bold and daring. They want to get in their car and go out to where the storm is at and spot it.
No, thank you.
Others are perfectly content to stay at home or where they work and observe what's going on. And those are just as valuable. Those are just as valuable because a storm can happen anywhere.
Well, you've heard it straight from the horse's mouth. This is what they do. This is how they operate in the county. And this truly is an asset for Christian County. And not even just Christian County, for our area. In general, from the roads to the rivers. We talked about what that meant a while ago, but they just cover all of that area. And it's just personalized weather tailored just for us here in that area. So I appreciate you guys letting us come and talk to you all. Stay tuned. We got just a few more clips. You're going to see that. You're going to get to see that cool ceiling where we've got some clouds and some faux lightning, but it looks pretty cool in their studio. And we'll give you a quick tour of the warehouse back here. I heard it kind of fell down and you had to readjust. So we still got some construction going on here, but it's a great space. And this is where all the magic happens when the storms come through.
That's right.
So we really appreciate you guys here in the county, and it has been an asset. So tune in, stay tuned, and thank you for sharing this moment here, our first ever off-site and videoed here in Hoptown podcast. So we're here in Hoptown on the road. That's what we'll call it.
Okay.
But thank you guys for tuning in.